the way we think about these measures that you presented, we should be thinking like the higher, the better, the lower, the worse.
Well, in many cases, the conflict that produces the revolution produces revolutionary changes that lead to resolutions and lead to new starts. And so their a short-term civil war is a hellacious experience. And at the same time, it can be the transition to a new beginning. Also, there are different types of conflict. Competition, which makes everything better, is a productive conflict, whereas destructive conflicts are not good over the short time. So, that's how those go.
So within each measure, the story is complicated.
Yeah, but my measures are sort of clear, meaning how much political conflict, how much social conflict. In other words, you can measure conflict, you can measure fighting, you can measure crime rates, you can measure lots of different ways of conflict. So the measures are a composite of different types of internal conflict.
What are some other interesting measures? Maybe you can also mention that for me, particular interest is education and innovation.
Yes. The classic cycle, the most important thing is the quality of education. Most importantly, broad-based education drawn from the largest population, because you can never tell who talent is going to be, so where they're going to come from. So, for example, if you look at the Chinese dynasties, the great Chinese dynasties, and the Confucian approach, it was meritocratic of everybody could sit for exams and so broad-based apart in the population. You see that if you go across society, because that draws on the largest number of population to get education, and it also that creates a reality and a perception that the system is fair, equal opportunity, not just one privilege, and that helps to create social stability. But education is not just education in understanding facts, so it is education in civility, how to behave together. And so if they're smart, they understand how to be productive because they work well together and they're productive. And then that leads to the next stage. You can see in the lines of the charts, I plotted these so that you can see in a typical cycle, you can see that education is the long leading indicator, and then you can